How are
unless
they?
unless I get a call to go 5 minutes over the state line, but I don't think that's
Ah,
happening anytime soon.
you're
So,
really close. Well, you never know. People are
yeah,
searching for alternatives
that's
left and right.
that's true. And the midwives, home birth midwives and whatnot in Georgia, they were, seeing who all was available the other day, which
Hmm.
um, some I have worked with and others not, but I'm that close, so it's part of my target range. So,
Yeah, this is, I would say just business tip. This is just such a really good time to reach out to midwives. One, because they're so busy, they have no idea who's available. They also, because of the ethical part of going to a birth and people risking, they don't know who to approach if they haven't already been working with you. So if you're able and willing to go be with a family during the birth, a home birth, whatever, reach out to them and let them know you all need births, and they're overwhelmed by the pivot that people have made to shift out of hospital birth to home birth. So this is a really good time to partner up, and um, and not just home birth midwives, but birthing centers.
well,
They're
we don't have any nearby birthing centers, unfortunately. So it's hospital, which the hospitals are only allowing one person at this
Mhm.
point. Um, so it's either hospitals or home birth midwives, which, um, you know, like you
Yeah.
said, it's good that I'm able to either doula for them or um, do midwifery assistant for them. So um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I'm
They're tired.
working on doing some virtual stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
good. Yeah, I think that it's just a really good time to build your resource list, to reach out, let them know you're available, do a quick little update, a post on your Facebook page, or like if you have a business page or whatnot, even your personal page. Just say, listen, anybody who, you can do the doula thing, but you also appeal to the businesses, to the midwives, to the birthing center owners, tag them, or go to their page. Even better, go to their page and leave them a message. Let them know that you are available and able to support them. So I have two questions. So Monique, if where you are, if they're down to one person supporting, what are the things that you all are considering with those clients? If they can only have one support person, what kind of
Well,
conversations are you all having with the families?
personally, I don't have a bunch of families lined up, but I did have a teen who I was supposed to support. Um, she went in for induction on yesterday, last night. I haven't heard from her as of yet. And when she first they told her two people, and then no sooner than she texted me two people, which she was considering her mother and her partner at the time. And she asked me who should,
Hmm.
she was really stressed out. And so then they text her and told her only one. Um, and so she asked me, what do I think she should do? And I just advised her maybe the three of them should get together, have a conversation, and then she makes the informed decision on who she wants to support her. And so she ended up choosing her partner, which I'm glad that, personally, I'm kind of glad that she went with the partner. Not to dismiss her mother, but I think it's more beneficial to have the partner there because it's that person's child as well. Um, and so I think, that it's up to them to make the informed decision on what they want their support to look like given the situation. Um, if I'm called to be there for anyone else, that's what I will go with, whatever their decisions are, as long as they're making an informed decision.
Okay. These are, what you present is such a unique challenge. I don't think we've really ever been here before, except when doulas just weren't allowed. There's a couple of things, even with a lot of hospitals, even when they say you can only have one visitor, what some of our doulas are able to do is to show their workshop certificate or if they're certified, their certification card, or the signed contract with the client to say, I'm not a visitor, I'm actually here to help. I'm the doula. And over again, we've heard, like, these are the stories that we hear privately, less publicly, because everybody's hollering about, oh, they won't let me in. But the ones who get in, first of all, once they get in, they're like busy, and they come out of that birth fog, and then they're like, yeah, I got in. And it was simply because they showed their business documents. And guess what? These hospitals are starting to really be stretched thin. So they actually need helping hands. So if you come in as a professional, you got your a badge that says you're a doula, if you have your paperwork, and you show them the A1 statement. I've been encouraging doulas, print up the statement that A1 wrote about how doulas are essential. Print up the statement from ACOG, and you can share it with them and just say, I'm part of the birth team, I'm here to help. It's really hard to turn you away when you just come like that and you come as a professional. So we are seeing people have some success that way. What is really difficult in this time of a pandemic, which none of us have been in before, none of us, is this sort of dwindling down that happens in facilities. That's just the nature of controlling a pandemic. And because in this country, labor and delivery is in a hospital where there are ill people, where we say 95% of people who walk into labor and delivery are healthy people, and many of them have never been hospitalized before. So what we've done is we've made labor and delivery, we made birth an illness, which it's not. And now we see through this pandemic how much we're putting families at risk. So just you walk in totally healthy, you've been staying at home, social distancing, and you go into labor, and you might walk into the hospital and actually get sick, or your baby gets sick. It's really asking a lot of people, and it doesn't have to be that way. Besides that, when you do walk in, they're whittling down your support people, the people who know you, the people who have been preparing for this birth with you. So this is really, really hard. So the good part for you, Monique, is she had to make an emotional decision between her mom and her partner, which is not easy. So that's already stress, but at least she wasn't in labor. This is an induction. That's a different kind of stress, but she chose her partner. So yeah, you have an opportunity to reach out and text and call and FaceTime and give her some tips. Did you all talk a little bit about that? About how you can support from afar?
I did. Once I knew that she was getting a induction because she was past her 40 weeks. And then with all the COVID stuff going on, I'm guessing that's why they decided to do the induction. So I did inform her that if she wanted me to virtually support her, or if she had any questions or anything like that, then to obviously feel free to reach out, and I can do that virtually via FaceTime or what have you. So as of overnight, she did not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to give a little space, given, in the event that she did have the baby, obviously she would be resting. So I will follow up tomorrow to see how things have gone or are going, and see where she's at in the process.
Okay. Yeah, I think, inductions take so long that it really might not, sometimes. Is this her first baby?
It is. So yes,
Okay.
that
Oh
could
yeah.
be the other part of it too, is that it's taking, the time necessary. So I'll get more information on it tomorrow.
Yeah. And so I always like inductions are always such good times to when they're just sitting around and maybe early on and not a lot is happening to spend some time practicing things like the video chatting so that they can get used to it. If you didn't do prenatals by video, then they're also not used to connecting with you this way. It might feel awkward, and especially if she's in labor. So one of those things about providing that remote support is to warm people up to it and spend some time with them on video just so that they can get a sense of how you can make an emotional connection. You also get to practice how to say things, how to direct them, because you just don't want to do it while you're in the game for the first time. So, and helping learn, different ways to use your voice to help connect with them is really important. So I do recommend connecting with them electronically early and often. And then, yes, of course, when they're in labor, you got to kind of let it go and let them reach out to you because you don't want to be intrusive. But it's also the time that I spend a lot of time connecting with the partner. So I might be texting with him or her pretty consistently to say, like every 2 hours, we're kind of on a every 2 hour schedule. How's it going? Do you need some tips? Remember this video? Um, and even in the beginning, make sure that they have the position handouts, stuff like that. Um, yeah. Okay, cool. So, Danita, in your situation, you are navigating some version of some bug in your house. So everybody's a little bit sick. So are you on call for anybody? Do you have anybody kind of waiting in the wings that you might need to call in the backup because you're not feeling great?
No, not currently.
Okay.
I have somebody who might, I have potential births for June.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to be clear by then.
We
One of
all.
those being my sister, but we don't know how that's going to go. So,
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. I know you posted in the Facebook group about it. How is she? Where is she in the pregnancy? Like, how many weeks?
okay, so she's 28 weeks.
Okay.
But things just got a little complicated because she went into the hospital on Saturday because she was having contractions and bleeding.
Oh.
And so they determined that it was preterm labor, and they stopped it. So she's on bed rest now. But there's just now this fear and cloud hanging over her that she could go in at any time. And so she's due in June, but she's now thinking about and planning, premature labor. So, and then in the midst of all the coronavirus, events happening, I don't know if you know, but New York has half the cases in the US. And so there's the National Guard there. When she went into the ER, her husband had to have a blood test before he could even enter the hospital. So they have field hospitals set up where they're testing people. So she got up to labor and delivery right away, but it took him a while to get there behind her. So that's what's happening there. A system of hospitals just started to deny partners from being in the labor and delivery room. So all of that is on their plate right now, especially with the possibility of delivering early. So, and then this also prevents me and my mother from flying to New York, which we had planned to do in June. So that's where we are right now. Just trying to plan and make sure she has a birth plan. She's considered high risk. Has a birth plan, and then just trying to figure out how to navigate if her husband cannot be there with her as well. So
So some of the things, some of the resources she can access are the March of Dimes. That is literally what they do. All the, they have handouts, worksheets, signs and symptom sheets, all of that on their website because they're there to, to navigate preterm labor. So the March of Dimes is a great resource. They have local reps and they're very active in New York. So it shouldn't be hard to contact someone if she just wants to talk through the ifs, ands, whats, and the possibilities, because it's not as easy to right now to access any physician or nurse. I mean, I know New York they're just corralling as many people as they can for, to deal with the pandemic. So because she's high risk, birth center is not an option for her. That's what it sounds like. So here's what I say. She's on bed rest. She has a lot of time on her hands. This is a really good time for her to do some childbirth education around what to do. Like, she really needs to read into some of these scenarios. What to do if you're laboring without your partner, and what to do if you're laboring with just your partner. Or if she's allowed one person and you are going to New York and you are willing to take that risk, what do they feel about you going as her doula and being the one person? So I think that the best thing, what I've been telling my families are all of their options and making sure that there's no option that's possible that I'm not telling them about. So yes, I have definitely said, listen, your husband doesn't have to go. I can go. There are definitely families choosing their doula over their partner. And that is a tough emotional decision to make. But for some, it's essential. Like, I got to get through this. Like, I actually need somebody in there, not just the emotional support, but somebody who can actually help me physically get through this. So those are some of the choices that people are making. So she's not stuck. She has options. Many of them are not ideal. And it's not what we would have crafted for ourselves, but she has options. So for those, anytime there's somebody in the room, well, first let me go back. The idea of laboring alone in New York right now, actually what they have are hospital staff who are like a child specialist. So right now, that staffer, they're not really doing non-essential or elective surgeries or procedures. So that hospital staff person, those hospitals are paying them. So why not use them? So what they are doing is using those individuals to go in instead of a doula in labor and delivery. Right? So I will be speaking to a group of those people very soon to try to crash course, teach them some doula skills, because they're going to be with laboring moms like any day now. Okay, so the idea of being alone, she may not be alone, but she may not have like a really trained, seasoned, like somebody who decided to be a doula. But these people are signing up because they're like, I think I could help. Maybe they've had a baby. Maybe it's just they're good with kids or whatnot. So we're trying to figure out how to meet the need so that these people who go in at least have some skills. What I can appreciate about this is they're not trying to leave somebody totally alone. But what they are doing is putting a person in the room, which I say good. Make sure every mom, I think, and this is interesting because Jenny Joseph spoke about it this morning on the video I shared, was make sure she has a cell phone, make sure mom goes with an iPad charged up so they can FaceTime, maybe with you. That person, you can give that person some direction on what to do. Then her husband can also be there emotionally on video. Here's the practice though. You've got to practice this stuff before it actually is needed to happen. So she has to believe that she can connect with you. You have to practice your direction skills, and then it gives her a chance to get used to having you there without your physical presence in the room. So these are really tough things. I don't want to act like any of this is easy, but there are ways that we can just try to soften this. And the other part is her making some decisions. If she has a vaginal birth and with minimal tearing, the beauty of this is she can go home within 24 hours. That's part of the things you want to get the heck out of there. So it's worth it to fight for having that labor support, which increases your chances of a vaginal birth. So the more she can learn about her body, normal physiologic birth, the more that she can learn about the different phases of labor. So this is childbirth education. Some people are doing some childbirth education classes online, gearing them right towards the mom and the dad. Some people are doing like group classes. I do private classes. There are lots of people who are, starting to promote their stuff. I've always done private classes because my family is often, there's always like somebody out of the country in my families when I worked in DC. So having to do private classes, I never did group classes. So private classes are easy for me, but being able to make sure she has like materials to read, the right materials. She should not be reading things like What to Expect When You're Expecting. Throw that book away, all right? She needs a childbirth education book that she can dog ear or whatever, write in, help craft her plan, and then have some visuals of what might happen in her body and some directives like, oh, there's a sensation. This might be what she feels. This might show up. Bloody show is a good sign that things are making progress. She needs all those benchmarks. And if you've been a part of that education, you can remind her, remember we talked about this? She's not going to remember in that moment, but then she'll be like, oh, okay, you need to know how to tell her this is normal. Oh, good, you're making progress. This is so good, you're doing really well. At some point, you're not going to be on camera the whole time, but being able to be there for some of it, just to provide her with reminders, I think will be something is better than nothing. And if it's not helping her, she'll just turn the camera off and just say, I'll call y'all when it's done, when baby is here, So I think we're all going to do the best we can, knowing that the landscape may look very different when she's 40 weeks or 38 weeks. That's 10 weeks away. We might be on the other side of this thing completely. So I want you to infuse that hope, that hopefulness. Like, she's not 39 weeks today. So her job is to keep this baby in, which is to keep her stress level down and to keep her legs closed. Like, sit in that bed, all right, keep your legs closed. So, and to take every day that she has with her baby, like really tune into that. So really spending some time with music and reading and thinking about, wow, okay, I don't have to be out there. First of all, there's nothing happening out there. We're all in here, right? We all in the house. So she in the house, at least the whole world isn't happening and she's stuck in the house. So we're all in the house. We're doing this all together. And all she can do is just learn. Every week that she keeps baby in is a blessing. How is she navigating like doctor's visits? Are they doing telehealth? That's what they should be doing. Talk to her about it. Yeah, by video.
I don't think so, but I can ask about it.
Well, that should be an option for her, so she's on bed rest too, my goodness. So if with that diagnosis, so telehealth, like those online visit prenatals with her doctor, a home visiting nurse, she might qualify for a home visiting nurse right now. So somebody who can come in and do those vitals, listen to baby, all of that. The other thing, I think a lot of people don't realize, she can have prenatal care with a midwife, which they do come to your house. It's called parallel care, where you have care of a midwife and a doctor. But you birth with your OB. So she has options. So something worth seeing if she has insurance, what that allows. If she is in a position to pay out of pocket, find out what that costs. But she has some options for ways to minimize her risk going outside, getting some in-home care, and also having a second opinion. I like that idea. When I see midwives and OBs working side by side, you get like the surgical medical advice, but then you also get like the home remedy, homeopathic options as well. So I hope it works out for her right now, trying to get transitioned into a new normal. So hopefully these tips will work for her.
Yeah.
Okay. What else y'all got? What else do you need?
Can we speak to birth plans? Because I'm seeing a lot in regards to birth plans and people, you know, expecting mothers, obviously being anxious and expecting to not have their ideal birth experience.
Yes. So you basically have to have, okay, so when I do birth planning sessions, I have often done them by video. I like video. I think it's easy. People don't have to necessarily be all together and in town, but we work it out. So I think right now birth planning sessions happen virtually, just like this on Zoom. It's easy. They have a free component of Zoom, which gives you 40 minutes where you can talk with 3 people. I think it's 3 or more, but they limit you to 40 minutes. So you got to get it in. You can also shut down at the 40-minute mark and revive if you're not done. You just want to tell your clients that. I have a paid version, so I can talk forever. And it's not expensive. It's worth the investment in my business because I used it. I've used Zoom for 5 years. So now everybody's on it, which is great. It's a great tool. And if you are going to do more intimate work, like I do breastfeeding support, there's a telehealth add-on, which is more security because you're going to see a boob. You're going to see some nipples, right? So if you're going to really use
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, so if you're gonna so I think it's like $200 extra, but I make money from my breastfeeding consult, so that I make that back. That's not a terrible investment for me to not have to go to another platform. I want to stay right here, do my process. I don't want to have to go anywhere. So I think Google Hangouts has a telehealth component too. There's another company, and if I come up with the name, I'll do a thread on it. I got to go back in my notes, but there's another telehealth group too. But these are platforms that are people can just boom, click, show up and get some of their needs met. But a birth planning session, you're going to go through what you might do in a prenatal. I give my families a worksheet before we get on a call. And I do that because it helps me to understand what do they know and what don't they know. I tell them, fill out what you can. If you've got some blank spaces, that's cool. Because sometimes they're like, we don't even know what that phrase is. It helps me to know, what did you retain in your childbirth class and what did you miss? What do you need more clarity on? So that they don't feel like they got to come to the session knowing everything. I basically do a really quick crash course in childbirth ed when we're going through the birth plan. They don't know that that's what I'm doing, but that's what I'm doing. And I'm trying to figure out where they need more information. What that helps me to do, so they basically check. Yes, I want this. And it's a bunch of things on the list that most people often want. Then what I often do is I turn around, and the things that they are like, I don't know about vitamin K. I said, I got a research paper on that, no problem. I'm going to send that to you. That's all part of my follow-up. Or I take the time and I'll explain it to them. And then I'll ask them, on things like pain management. So, you have your IV pain medication that goes through your IV. Your nurse can give it to you right in the moment. You don't have to wait for an anesthesiologist. Then you've got your epidural. In the middle of that, you have laughing gas or nitrous oxide. Your hospital might offer it. Do you know if your birth center, your hospital, or if you can have it at your home birth? Do you know? And they're like, oh no. Now I give them homework. I know most of them don't know that, so I give them homework. Okay. So you can ask that when you go to the hospital tour. Now, a lot of our moms are not about to do some hospital tours, but I best bet that some of these hospitals are about to start, if they haven't invested in a virtual tour, they're going to do one soon. So they're going to put it online so families know what that laboring unit looks like, and they can get some of their questions answered. So yes, birth planning sessions, you're just going to go through the questions and get their answers. and let them know they have options. But this session is not like, okay, we hung up the phone and the plan is done. It's like, no, you have a little bit of homework, I have a little bit of homework, and that becomes the subject of my follow-ups with them in the coming week or two. Now we got more to talk about. Oh yeah, we talked about it, we decided this, or thank you for that research. But now I'm creating value. I'm valuable to them because they're like, man, she's short-circuiting all of our work. She's giving us stuff to do. So that's how I handle birth planning sessions. Ultimately, we go back and forth. We edit the document. Sometimes it's in written form. There's lots of templates out there. Sometimes it's in written form. Some of my families more and more want images. They like the visual plans, and we convert it. And I make sure that we have done the labor part of the plan, birth preferences. And then we have gone over the post-birth preferences. So all of that newborn care, you know, cord clamping, circumcision, photos, breastfeeding, all of that stuff goes on a second page, because I can't fit birth preferences on one page. I don't know who does that. God bless y'all. I'm not the one. But what I do is I do a 2-pager for labor part, and the 1 page for postpartum. So that way when the nurse is like, oh, what are your birth preferences? I hand her just that 1 page. So I'm kind of cheating, giving them what they want, but did what we needed, kind of thing. So, so that's how I handle birth preferences. And I always do them by video. I don't get in my car and drive to their house for this, because that's something we don't have to touch for that. I've been doing those prenatal, that's generally my first visit with them. So after they sign my contract, I usually say, I send them an email, let's get started. And it has a prenatal questionnaire and a birth option sheet. I gave them some homework. They gave me some money and I'm like, okay, let's get going. And I gave them some homework. It takes them usually a week or two to kind of get to it. Now I haven't just taken their money and it's dead silence. We're getting going. So they know, oh, it's on me. We've gotten started. Now I tell them, if you haven't done your childbirth ed class, we can wait. You know, you don't have to get this paperwork back to me until after you've gone to your class and you have some knowledge. So sometimes they hire me early. I give them that paperwork. We might not talk for 2 months. It's all good. We're engaged with one another already. They know they can call me any questions. Sometimes I peek, I'm like, how you doing? How's it going? Do you need anything? And we kind of leave it at that until we gotta really get going. So Monique, did I answer your question?
Yes, which I do the birth planning and postpartum planning, and I have done it virtual as well, but I just was asking as a general question for whoever watches it, and because it is coming up so much in a lot of groups and threads and things like that. And the images are great. I like the images because it takes a whole lot of words away and it just gives the image and, you know, gets the job done. So thank you.
It's colorful. It gets to the point. It communicates, you know, the need. And yeah, and so I think people make them. I think like on Motherboard, if you're a member of Motherboard, you can get them as part of a membership. I had some people who bought one and they finagle all the options, and they just a doula who just recreates it depending on their family's needs. So, you know, saving money, but it's definitely out there. So I do birth planning session, and then I do a separate session for postpartum, because I personally find that it is really overwhelming for families to think about it all together. So there's the birth, and then there's the immediate postpartum, which is different to me than the postpartum, like the larger postpartum season, which will go from when they, you know, easily at the 24-hour mark to, you know, 40, 45 days, you know, 50 days post-birth. So those things, the things that happen and the need to happen are in those 2 postpartum phases are different. So in that immediate postpartum, we're talking about skin to skin, breastfeeding, baby might be getting some newborn care, you know, getting the vitamin K shot or whatever you've decided that they should get. But then really mom should be eating, drinking, we're watching her bleeding. It's all that immediate stuff before she gets transferred, once she's stable, transferred over to her postpartum unit if they transfer. Then there's so I do a separate planning session to talk with them about bringing home baby. So I literally talk with them about what day 3, which is often the day that most people having a baby in the hospital go home. And I talk with them about what's happening in their baby's body, meaning that baby's belly is growing tremendously and they're going to be hungry. So in discharge day is very busy time. Discharge day, you're trying to get the pediatrician to look at the baby, trying to get your doctor to release you. They come whenever they want. If you're in a teaching hospital, you get a resident who comes in, then the attending, another resident and attending. It can be really hectic. So I make sure that partners wrangle all the people. Because in the meantime, you're just like, I'm trying to get out of here. I'm trying to go home. So I make sure that the partners are wrangling the people and that the mom or the birthing person is just focusing on feeding the baby really consistently, because that baby's belly is growing. And if you and the baby will sleep if you don't wake them up. And you might have a tendency to want them to sleep because you're trying to get all these people to come in and see y'all so you can get home. You cannot let the baby sleep. You have to feed on schedule, because if you don't, when you get home, that baby will be crying all night long. And you will have one of the most challenging nights with your baby. It can be very upsetting. It can be very scary. And you can feel like it's a confidence buster. So I really try to keep families like really focused on, everybody has a job to do on the day of discharge. And if everybody does it, when you go home, you guys can have kind of a measured night of sleeping and feeding, sleeping and feeding until I come and visit my families that next day. So anyway, so postpartum planning is important. Doula has a postpartum worksheet, like a planning sheet that we circulate, and I use it. I say to my families, we need to make some decisions. How are you going to eat in the immediate postpartum? When you get home, how are you going to, have you talked about how you're going to sleep? Because it sounds like, oh, I just closed my eyes, and that's not true with a newborn. Who's going to help you with breastfeeding or feeding the baby, period, whatever your choice is. And then who's giving you relief? Because you're going to need relief. I set up the expectation, and most people need relief. And then the 5th thing is I talk with them about getting back to you and them. To me and us is what I usually say. So in those 40 days, how do you get some time for yourself? What things do you need personally? What does your partner need? And how do you guys spend time together? So anyway, so there's in the midst of that, y'all getting together, in that conversation, I often talk about family planning or birth control, so that my families are actually prepared for what sometimes is an onslaught, especially for Black women, of pressure to have some kind of medical birth control before you actually even leave the hospital. So I try to prepare people for that, that bias that is often visited upon us before we've even been able to have our babies outside of our bodies for 24 hours. So that's how I do it, y'all. But I do those sessions separately so that families have a chance to kind of get clear about, these are 2 separate phases of our lives. It's a transition. You transition from one phase into another. So I break those prenatals up. So often when I see people say they do one prenatal, I'm like, impossible. You can't get it all done. You just can't possibly get it all done. So in my most basic package, if they have like a prenatal visit, I have done a birth planning session by video with them. I go see them in person to do a comfort measure session where we get a chance to practice what it's like being a doula and having a doula in the mix and having a double hip squeeze and how good it feels to have somebody rubbing on you, all that. We do that together. That really helps us bond. All right. And then I might do the postpartum planning session where we also talk about feeding and breastfeeding and all that. I might do that by video, or I'll do a separate visit because I'm a lactation counselor. I'll also do a separate visit maybe just to talk about breastfeeding and feeding prep. All right, so right there, we got 4 visits, four interfaces, 4 prenatals. So yes, 2 of them are happening by video and 2 of them are happening in person. All of them don't have to happen in person. So right now, for those who are not on the call, probably gonna just watch the recording, how do we do comfort measures from afar? It's a really good question. There are different videos out there that are fairly good. In fact, one of our members asked me this like on Saturday, and I immediately texted her some YouTube videos. It's a series by a hospital system called Beaumont Health. I don't know where they are located in the United States, but they made a commitment to do some videos, and they're like 3 minutes, and they talk about, I'll tell y'all exactly what they talk about. Hold on. They're great. I ended up texting them to my clients really quickly to give them a chance to see what they can do if it's just them. Because I did, I had a family who wasn't sure if they were going to be able to transfer from the hospital and go to the birth center. They are going to the birth center, but I gave them some videos just in case. Okay, so they cover topics like relaxation techniques. It's 3 minutes and 42 seconds. They have a video about breathing techniques, another video about upright positions, another video about squatting positions, another video about massage. So those were great. And, another one about induced labor. So anyway, I'll do a thread and share that. Actually, in this thread, the thread in the group where I talk about doing the Zoom call, I will put the links for Beaumont Health so you guys can take a look. But find other resources. What I will be honest is it was hard for me to find comfort measure series that had Black people in it and brown people. So Beaumont, they did. It was really multi-ethnic, so I appreciated that because I do believe in the images that we share reflecting that affinity with families. So I thought that was important. So find other resources. Sometimes people just want a chart. What are my position options? So find options. So find a position chart. Let's see, somebody might have in this group asked about position charts or just childbirth ed resources. And Cheyenne Varner, she does like an online video for people of color, or a magazine for people of color. And her images are like hand-drawn, but they are brown people, like varying shades. So I think that representation matters. And so she definitely sells those charts. And I think last week she was running a sale. So again, I'll do a link to Cheyenne's page. She has an Etsy account where you can find some childbirth ed materials.
What's her name again?
Cheyenne. So I think it's Cheyenne. And the last name is Varner. She's in the Doulas of Color group, I know, Facebook group, I know. But yes, those are some resources. And I use a childbirth ed book, even for my doula clients, from Plum Tree Baby. I don't have my hands on it right now. But
I like their resources.
Yeah, she is a donor doula. I actually, when I was the intercultural director, I called her because all the images were white. I was like, what is going on here? And she was like, oh my God, we're literally in the middle of updating our images. And the images that they came out with are gorgeous. I appreciate their resources. What do you like most about Plum Tree Baby's resources, Monique?
I'm multitasking right now, so you may hear some background noise.
No problem, I get it.
But I do like how they did incorporate. I think they're the only ones really that has the wide variety of diversity in their images. So I do like that, and that they cover all phases of perinatal support.
Yeah.
So I like that about them.
So here's the reality. When you invest in these materials, they cost. So I think that each book for the childbirth ed series. I think each one of her books costs $7 or $6. The price goes down as you buy more. So if you buy 10, you're like, dang, I just spent $60 or $70 and I only got 10 books. Well, that's 10 families that will serve. And I will tell you, my families keep these books. They're great quality books. They keep them. I give it to them in the beginning. We go back to it throughout the prenatal time frame. So if I don't see them for a while, because we've just done the birth planning session, I mail it to them or I'll drop it off at their house. And when we do our video talks, I'll be like, okay, turn to page 17. Now maybe we're trying to finish up the birth planning session. And I'll be like, okay, you want to know about newborn care? It's on page, 27. And then they flip to it. They're like, oh, okay. So here's the skill you're offering them. I'm not here to give you every answer. I'm here to help present resources for you and make your job a little bit easier. Ultimately, the decision to empower and inform yourself is yours. And the final decision is yours as well. I'm just here to kind of usher it and like short circuit the process. And that's what I find the book does. So whether you're my childbirth ed student or not, or if you're my doula client, that book is invaluable. Pages 14 and 15 are a chart of each phase of labor. And it gives a box and it says how many centimeters you might be, how long this phase might last, what your doula can do, what your partner can do, what you can do. And it's awesome. It is literally the cheat sheet. I send every partner to it. I said, you're going to love pages 14 and 15. Because when you're like, what should I do? I'm like, turn to page 14. I said, so let's look at what you're telling me. You're saying the contractions are every 10 minutes apart. Your water hasn't broken, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you're in the chart. What phase does it say you're in? Early labor. Okay. So, and how long does it say it might last? It says a few hours to a few days. It actually says that. And I remind them, you never think that you're the few days person, but you might be. So I try to help them understand why it might be taking so long and also what also might be happening inside her body. And it just calms them when we have to do that early labor like discussions. I take them back to the book. So invest in resources, y'all, because it really can help them make the connection between what you're saying, what they're seeing, and what they're reading. Help them to kind of, sometimes they don't integrate all of that until they're in the moment. But you just say, remember we talked about that? And they say, oh yeah. So you'll start to come up with little phrases that you'll say that will trigger them. You'll be like, remember I said TikTok? They was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, you thought that was funny. Okay, here we go. Now it's time to start tracking the contractions. We at TikTok time. We don't do that when they're one every 20 minutes. Now I want you to pull out the contraction timer, which I've given them a free resource. It's called, that app is called Full Term. They can download it, and when they're done having this baby, they can delete it. But I love Full Term because it is free and it's easy to count the time. You either hit the start button when she says, okay, it's starting, you hit start. And when the contraction starts weighing down and say, okay, it's over. The button has now said stop. You hit the stop button. That's it. And you track for an hour and then we come back together to find out, okay, how close are the contractions? So that's how early labor coaching, that's how we do the early labor. But I also use that chart on page 14 of Plum Tree to tell them, I come around between this line and this line. So y'all really over here, I'm not coming yet. Like it's too early. It helps people have a visual about when, because that's one of those tough decisions to make is like, when do you join us? And what I want to caution new doulas from doing is joining the family too soon. You'll wear yourself out. You'll use up all your resource with childcare, and they don't need you yet. So I know we talked about this in our workshops. Me and Nakia, we talk about it a lot. Like, don't run to them unless it's really time. So anyway, invest in some good books. This is Plum Tree. I think is she Asian? Yeah, well, I don't know what she is. But this is their postpartum workbook. And it has everything in here. Newborn care. The babies all look different. They got Black and brown mommies in here. They talk about life changes, you know. So I think that they do a really good job. And that website is plumtreebaby.com. Okay. I also have online resources for childbirth that have videos. So when I do my calls with families and I'm like, you might lose your mucus plug, they're like, what? I subscribe to, this is Enjoy, INJOY, Health Education. So with Enjoy, Understanding Birth is one of their comprehensive books. Again, this book might cost $8. So don't give it out until somebody has signed a contract and paid you some money. And when you're setting your price, account for it. There are things you're gonna buy for your families that they need. What I don't love is necessarily that is, you know, all the babies are light, okay? But they do have variety in their videos and everything. But yeah, so the first 3 pictures I saw, right? So that can be challenging for some of my family. Well, they don't ever say that it's a challenge. I think it's challenging. But this particular book, again, is $8, and it is everything. It's fully comprehensive. We talk about breastfeeding. We talk about induction, augmentation, relaxation techniques, comfort techniques. We go through stages of labor. It's everything. And I think we offered this, we shared with this with you all in our workshop. So if you get a hold, let's say you only get a hold of one, this book has on the inside, if you buy one, you get a 1-year subscription. Oh, y'all, everybody trying to call. Just a little plug, the advocacy in me. I did a call out of some of our political people in Milwaukee about this COVID testing that ain't happening in Black and brown communities. And so they are responding. So that my little screen is lighting up, y'all. I had to call out the candidate who running for mayor, like, Lena, we had 3 Black men die of COVID in Milwaukee. I don't even live in Milwaukee anymore. But ain't no testing sites in the Black and brown communities. What's going on, y'all? All right. But this booklet on the inside page, welcome, Kayla. Hey. On the inside page has a code. If you buy one, you'll get a code and it gives you access to an app. You can use access to that app. You can log on your computer. It plays you animation and videos that you can play for your family. When they're like, oh, I'm losing my mucus plug, what does that look like? You can play them animated video and share your screen if you're using Zoom. And you can actually show them what you're talking about. All of that makes a difference for birthing families to take away the fear, but also to add value, because you're on camera, you're like, well, what am I say to them? How am I gonna charge them hundreds of dollars and all I'm doing is on camera? You can do a lot by working with them from afar. So helping, if you spend the $8 on the book, you log in, you play the animation and show them. There's also a story of an unmedicated vaginal birth, which some people, if this COVID thing, you know, it will get bad. The hospitals, one of the steps in a pandemic is all non-essential, people ain't sick, they don't go to the hospital. So guess what? Most birthing people are not sick. So they will say, birth at home, period. Some of our people are not ready for that. So video might be all that they have. Show them help them understand by looking, like Shane and Brandy, they have a birth. You can play that birth video for them. She didn't use any medicine. She had a lot of help, like with midwives, but she didn't have any medicine. People don't even know what that could look like to not have medicine, not have an epidural. But the reality for some of our people who are going to be birthing in the next couple of weeks might be just that. So these are things that we want to make sure we're adding value when we're coaching them or giving them instruction from afar. But I want you to, you know, while the U.S. Postal Service is still running, get online, go to enjoyeducation.com or plumtreebaby.com or any other book resource. Childbirth graphics, They have stuff. Find a reliable resource that you can use and grab videos that you can share with them so that they can visualize what they need to do if in the event that they are birthing in a place that they haven't planned to birth or they're birthing alone. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How recent is your Enjoy book? I still have mine from when I had my babies.
Oh, yours looks good. Okay. So you did good. See, these books are valuable. I know y'all hold on to them. So my book,
Yeah.
I got mine last year. So I got mine in the summertime. I'm just trying to see where it might have a date on it. So this says, okay, so not the page with just all in the very back of the book. So that's the very back of the book. There's like pages where you can write, but that inner page says copyright 2018. This is the 11th edition.
Okay, mine's a little different. So, okay, mine says 2015. I got it in 2016.
Okay. Do you have a code? Okay, so the code would have been expired. Yep. Okay. Yep. Well, try it.
Okay, I'm gonna try it.
But try it.
Okay.
But if it's expired, go ahead and buy one. You will, as a customer, you'll be in the system. And again, even if you are not in a place to buy the books for them and send it to them, buy one for yourself and share the videos and all the animations with them. And share it over and over again. If they're like, can I see that? Can we see that again? You know, they might hold up their cell phone and record it. You know, because it might be something that they need to see over and over again. So just trying to figure out how we're going to do this in a pinch from afar. But having those visual resources is really important.
Can you share videos through Zoom? Like if I was to log in and be able to pull up videos, how can I share them with a client?
Okay, there is a way. So for example, like my platform, like right now, there's 4 of us in here. I can poll you guys. I can like do a survey. I can do breakout rooms. I can put us into different rooms and do like a session. I don't think you can, through the chat, you can share links with them. You can share links with them in the chat room that they can click on and open up for themselves. So here's what I try to do. Before we do a session, anything that they need, I try to email it to them in a PDF. Okay, so I just try to make sure that they have it. I'll email them maybe an hour before and just say, reminder, I'll see y'all soon. Make sure you get your snacks and stuff. This is exactly what I did with y'all. Like, get your snacks, get in the closet, hide from your kids, hide your snacks, all that. And then I just say, make sure, test the links, make sure you got all the materials. So that's, I'm gonna be honest, they often are like, we were supposed to fill something out. I give them an hour and they somewhat get their act together. And I just say, listen, and no pressure, we're gonna go over it so you can fill it out while we're doing it together. So try to always keep their anxiety minimized. There's nothing that they can't do. Okay, in the chat feature, because I have a paid version of this, when I open the chat, there is a little, let me see, I'll share my screen, but it says file. You can attach files. So just what you said, so like if you're in the Zoom call and you guys haven't done your thing yet, you can share a file. So let me see. Oh, well, what happened? Okay, I shared screen, y'all, but it's, go big again. I don't know what happened. Okay, let me stop sharing because it's not going big for me again. Well, anyway, if you open the chat for yourself, like if you click on your screen, do you see stuff at the bottom of your screen, Danita? If you hover down at the bottom, you see the microphone, it says mute, stop video and stuff. Okay, you see the little thing say chat. So open up the chat box. And then in the, at the bottom of the chat box is gonna say everyone and all that, but it'll say file. So you can click on that and you can attach a file while you guys are are talking. So yes, you can share files while you're in the Zoom call. That's a good question. Welcome, Erica.
Hi, thank you.
How are
Quick
you?
question on that, Reve.
Oh yes, Monique.
So if you were to share the files like that, for instance, if it was the Enjoy animation that they have, is it a direct link that Enjoy, because that's an app thing, right? So they wouldn't be able to access that.
Yeah,
that
no,
would be just
Enjoy,
sharing the video.
Right. If you have Enjoy online, they lock it down. There's no sharing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So when I click on file, here's what comes up. The option is Dropbox. So you're going to share to Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, Box, or a file from your computer. So it's going to, want to pull from something, and then you can incorporate. I'm just trying to think, what can I share with y'all, Rafa asked.
So for instance, a quick one, like if you had the breastfeeding video to show hand expression that's on YouTube, and you have that on your computer, then you can drop that.
I'm gonna play the video on my computer, but I'm gonna share the screen.
Okay.
Okay, let me see actually if I can do that. But let me just give you, I don't know, a quick document. Let's see, this was a promotion from one of our trainings. So I just clicked on it. It's going to upload to the chat. So now it's in there. It says Atlanta. It's just a promotion for our Atlanta training. And then now everybody can click on it. If we missed a document during, earlier in the meeting, boom, now you can get it. So let me go ahead and let me pull up the Beaumont. Let me open my YouTube. I'm going to show you guys what like an example of their videos. They're nice and they're short. So let me go to my library or my history. My history says hand washing, y'all. That's the video that came up. Hospital PPE, hand washing. Beaumont Hospital, they must be in Texas. Okay. Birth positions. Okay, I'm gonna play the video.
The following video is an educational guide for...
Hold on. Let me share my screen with you guys, you ladies. Google Chromebook. Okay. Now, do y'all see that? It says Beaumont. Are y'all?
Yes.
Muted? Okay.
Yeah,
right.
we see it.
So now I play it.
And their families. All visuals are for demonstration purposes only. Your labor and birth experience may be different. This video is not intended to replace any medical exam or consultation with your doctor or midwife. We recommend that you practice these methods at home to get used to them before going to the hospital in labor. Your labor is progressing and you are approaching birth. Your baby is moving down into your pelvis, giving you a strong urge to push. Welcome to the second stage of labor. When it comes to birth positions, you can use gravity to speed up the birth of your baby, or you can use a gravity neutral position. More on that in a minute. But first,
okay, so you see how that works? Y'all can see it, you can hear it. You're in control of it, but you're sharing it with them. Any questions?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So that might be what you do, Danita, with your sister. You spend some time with her and y'all go through videos. And of course, these are videos that she can, if you've sent them to her by text, you can pull it up. Always do a text chat with me and the birth team. So, I know she is in your phone as your sister, but you might want to rope in whoever is going to help coach her through, so everybody has the same resources. So no matter who ends up with her, it might be you or partner, it might be the hospital, another staff person, they can grab her phone, it's in the text chat, and they can play it. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yep, I will definitely send you all the links to these videos. What I love is I just noticed that Beaumont Health, apparently they just did these videos February 2020. So these are not outdated. People don't have like 1980s clothes on and doesn't feel so disconnected. And you'll see like in this video, there's a mom with her support person, might be her mom or her sister. Then there's like, you know, like heterosexual couples. So there's a little bit of a variety. So I appreciate what they did here. I'm about to blow them up. They only got 816 views. Yeah, they about to get used quite a bit. Yeah, I'm about to blow them up because they have done a great job. Definitely. Any other questions about how to doula from afar? Kayla, what might you be navigating, or what are you seeing where you are? Where are you? And you're in Georgia, right? Let me unmute her. I unmuted you, Kayla. Are you there? Okay. Erica, what are you seeing? Are you in Chicago?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago.
Okay, so what's going on in Chicago? Y'all got a lot going on.
Yeah, we do. So as of right now, there's only one support person allowed in the room. So a lot of our clients are obviously picking their spouse or their partner. Some aren't, but most are. So as of right now, I just kind of make up the hours by providing more postpartum and longer visits and a lot of FaceTime, a lot of texting and calling, you know, more like breastfeeding support especially. So yeah, so.
Okay, so I will share the recording. Earlier in the video, we talked about breastfeeding support. So
Okay.
one of the things to think about when you're doing breastfeeding support, I'm glad you bring up actually something really interesting about postpartum. We haven't talked about how to do postpartum care. We've been really focusing on birth. So for you, instead of doing the birth stuff, you're transferring their hours to postpartum.
Yeah, well, I do both birth and postpartum, but yeah, I'm doing more postpartum with them to make up for those hours.
Yes. So here's one of the things I want to encourage you all to consider, that if they hired you for birth, really try to get them to get the support from you from birth, because especially if you can do it remotely, when you go do postpartum visits, you're exposing yourself and your family over and over and over. When I go for a birth, it's one time I left my house, one set of clothes I had to take off outside our door, and one time. And now I can do my postpartum follow-up. It's a follow-up. It's not like postpartum care.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's follow-up by video. So really encourage them that there's some value in you being able to be there with them remotely, because what happens is, of course, you end up risking yourself, and that might not be something that you're as comfortable with. But if you want to do breastfeeding support, having the video support be a part of it can be really helpful, and making sure that you are using a telehealth system so that there's this HIPAA compliant and there's some security protection around the video, because she's going to have her breast out on video.
Right.
So Zoom has an add-on that you can use, so you don't have to shift platforms if you're already on Zoom. Google Hangouts might have, I've heard that they have a telehealth component, and then there's another telehealth company. I'm gonna put it in the threads to share with you all. But these are things you have to think about, especially if there's going to be nudity. You might have to think about it for the birth. If you're going to be there for the birth, and there might be some body parts. And then also the other tip earlier was make sure you practice being on video with them. So do your prenatal so that they can get comfortable hitting that FaceTime button or whatever to get Erica in the room, because they know it works.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that a lot of clients like Chicago Volunteer Doulas, I'm involved with them right now, and they did give us kind of like a letter handout to give to the hospitals, and now they're allowing the doulas to come in, but again, that's only maybe 2 out of like the 9 that we work with. So we're slowly getting there. But again, you're right. The exposure to the hospital, I don't, my son has asthma, like my mom's like it's a lot going on. So I haven't really picked up too many clients since this whole thing happened. So
yeah, you have to, it's really tough. You have to weigh your personal risk. You really do. And you have to be willing to take it on. Some people are okay, because the truth is, after you go to a birth, you might need to be in a room and a little bit quarantined for a day or so.
Right.
To kind of, and away from your family. Do you have a setup like that? Can your household tolerate that?
Right.
Do you have an immune compromised person in your household? They were originally saying young people and babies couldn't get it. Well, we got a baby. I just saw,
Right.
Of course they're human. Of course they can get it.
Right. Of course.
So we're having to be careful. Now, okay, you're with Chicago Volunteers, so then you work with Nicole Miles? Nicole works with Chicago Health Volunteers. So
yeah, we have
presentation on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I think they're going to do a presentation on Thursday. I think they're offering like a webinar.
Oh, okay. I haven't gotten an email for that yet, but we did do a conference call, but that was for postpartum. So.
Oh, good. No, that's good. Okay, I think that they're doing one to help people figure out how to do virtual work. So if I can come across that link, I'll share it in the group as well. I think that's
awesome. Thank you.
On Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
So I think it's great for you guys to get this information from multiple sources and figure out what works for you. I think it's a very layered.
Yeah.
All of this is really layered. Yeah. Does anybody have specific questions or dilemmas that they're facing? They're trying to figure out what to do.
Hey, Reve, I gotta run. I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Help with the babies. So.
Okay, yeah, all right. I hope you all feel better.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye. Kayla or Erica, do you ladies have any questions or scenarios that you might be facing? Or things that you're thinking about maybe even when this is over?
I don't know. I guess right now the hardest part for me is just kind of like, how do I be there without actually being there, So I had a client who was really upset when I told her that I wasn't going to be able to go to her birth because there was only one person that was allowed. Mm-hmm. So she was really upset about that, and I haven't heard back from her since. And she was a CVD client, so no, yeah,
it's a long relationship. Well, do you think she would have chosen you over her partner?
Well, I told her that well, she didn't. I told her that it was only one person allowed, mm-hmm. And she chose her partner. So, but she was really upset about it. I mean, I told her that, this is what's going on. And, I mean, I know that she doesn't blame me for it, but she was really upset about it. But she said she was possibly going to be induced on Saturday. So I texted her Friday, and I was just like, oh, just checking on you, blah, blah, blah. And then she just didn't reply. So then I tried calling her Saturday, just to get an update, and I just haven't heard back from her. So
okay. Maybe she's with her baby or whatnot. So all we can do is just keep the communication lines open. This can, I think I had a moment of being angry. I'm like, why is this happening? Like, this is crazy. So many things are being disrupted. And it is hard, especially if she was at the end of her pregnancy. Her emotions have got to be through.
Right.
So.
And it's a stressful time and nerve-wracking, and so.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to resume some of that postpartum support for her.
Yeah, she was interested in postpartum, but again, I haven't heard back from her. So I'm gonna try again. Otherwise, I'll just let the girls at CBD know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But yeah, other than that, like I said, I didn't have too many clients right now because of everything going on. So I've been, it's just playing it by ear.
Laying low.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I did the video about what to do like during COVID-19. It's like work on certification, read a book, write an essay, reach out, add people to your resource list, build relationships, do a video interview of your perinatal health professional. Like
Right.
you can definitely keep it moving.
Yeah. So we'll see how. Hopefully it's not much longer because it's pretty chaotic over here.
Yeah, it is. It is. Is everybody home? Are everybody, all of you, home with your kids?
Yeah, we're on lockdown right now. A lot of people are working, like stores are open, food, but no restaurants. It's only through delivery, you know, stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully Nakia and I will give you all some like mental relief here.
Yeah.
Something, some ways to like just pivot. Our entire industry is shifting, so we're all, trying to make the shift and help try to figure out how we can help as an organization, but also just as individuals, as trainers. So yeah, we'll make sure you put your questions in the group. Y'all use us. She and I are both, we've always been very plugged in online and everything. So it's just one of those things where we need to know what you guys think and need and what your questions are, and we'll do the best we can to help you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for all your help.
Appreciate the call.
Okay,
For
you're
the
welcome.
Zoom.
Have a good night.
All right. You as well.
You too. Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.